Welcome back. We're here with session 24 of our numismatic interview with Richard Burdick, and we're going to continue going over some of the unique pieces in his collection. What do we have here in front of you, Richard?
Well, these are called, in this country we call them pop-outs, but the European term for them is a repoussé, where they've pushed the metal out into a die. So the coins were used as pretty much as jewelry, watch fobs. But this set is extraordinary in that it's a necklace, earrings. It's actually a 4-piece set. I'd never seen or heard of anything like this. I knew what pop-outs were, but a guy from Florida called me up and said he bought this extraordinary thing. I didn't really know this guy, but somebody had given me my number. And he was going to be at the New Orleans A&A. And he showed me this. I was absolutely knocked down at the price he wanted for this thing, but it's exquisitely done. It's all inlaid with diamonds and emeralds.
Is that gold bezels on those?
I believe so. It took a real artist to be able to make something like this.
Jesus Christ.
That might cost you a lot of money.
So, did your wife ever wear these earrings?
She's never seen them. She's never seen most of this stuff. She does not care, which is typical.
That's a very unique
No,
piece.
this was an extremely expensive item.
So, did you pay his
Well,
money?
he wanted $5,000 for this, which I thought was an absolutely ridiculous price, and I would probably never pay that price. But I asked him if we could do some trading, and I ended up trading a bunch of stuff that I had a lot less money than $5,000. And we ended up trading. He got some stuff he wanted, and I got something I wanted. And that's it.
You ever see another set like it, or you ever
Never,
see
never.
any individual pieces?
I took these to 2 different jewelry artists. They designed their own jewelry, and they told me they'd charge $5,000 to $7,000 to make a set like that. So maybe I didn't pay too much after all.
Wow, very neat, very neat. So let's continue on. We have another Riker mount here. Who is Doc Brown, and what is the Owl Club?
Doc Brown was the owner of a bar, saloon, card parlor. His place was called the Owl, which was in Spokane, Washington. And I don't know why, but he had some type of a fetish for making like souvenir pieces for friends or patrons of his establishment. Was called the Owl, and he would make these Morgan dollars, Cuban pieces, Spanish pieces, Mexican pieces. Anyway, these pieces are quite rare. The first piece I ever got was an extraordinary piece. I didn't realize how good it was. Somebody talked me out of it. And then over many years, I've run into other pieces. And I'd certainly like to see more if anybody would ever offer them to me for sale. But this is really one of my favorite sections of my collection. This centerpiece is kind of interesting in that it's a miniature roulette wheel, which I think was part of an advertising campaign for his card parlor and saloon.
Let's take a look at that one.
Yeah,
DRGM Gesund. What is that? How is it German?
they were the people that made these and sold them as their advertising of the company that made them, I think. I think I Googled that and found out that information. It's a roulette wheel, a little phone.
Let's see.
He
looks
probably
like
gave these away,
24.
or maybe sold them in a saloon.
A way to do gambling outside of. Looks like you got a pin here. Compliments of the Owl, Spokane, Washington. Very interesting. Very interesting. One.
A number of outlaws were known customers of this guy. That's probably why he had this one made with the masked bandit.
We have one here on a $50. Reads, compliments of Doc Brown, Spokane, Washington. Merry Christmas, 97. It would be 1897.
Yes.
This one is on a...
This one is kind of a cute story to it. I bought this maybe just 6-7 years ago. And I walked up to a dealer's table and he sells nothing but low-end foreign coins. And I didn't know him that well, but he called me over and he says, I got something special for you. And he hands me this engraved owl from Doc Brown on it, Columbia $50. And I thought, this is one time in my life I'm going to be able to buy something really right, because this guy does foreign coins. He's not going to know anything about this. That's what I told myself. Well, myself was wrong. So I asked him a price on this thing. And he said, I want $500 for it. And I was stunned that how would he know to charge that much? And I offered him $400, and he says $450. It was done at $450, which to me was still a pretty good deal, because these things are rarer than hen's teeth. But I asked him, how did you know to charge me that much? And he says, I asked Mark Teller. Mark Teller is one of the most knowledgeable people in the world on all phases of coins. So that's the story on that piece.
Wow, very neat. Very neat. Any other stories on how did you acquire this piece here? That's the only one that has enameling on it.
That piece came from a very famous collector. I guess he wouldn't mind saying it. Alan Weinberg from Southern California. This man has some of the most extraordinary wide variety of knowledge for all phases of numismatics, especially they have to do with America, not so much international. But this piece with the enamel, I was actually stunned with this piece. It was not cheap, but it was kind of a must-have. It could fit in either this collection or it could fit in my enamel collection, but it fits better in this because it's a Doc Brown origin. I really like these. These are neat items. I'd love to buy some more, but they're just never seen them.
What's this? So this one is about Remember the Maine. That would have been 98, maybe?
Actually, yes, the first one I ever bought is the one that got away from me. That was also dedicated to the Spanish-American War. And he had some special fetish. It must have meant a lot to him, something about that war, because I know of 2 pieces he had made, and there's probably more out there.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. Well, let's move on to your next panel here. Looks like this is from the game Whist. Let's go ahead and show everybody this one here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and move the camera. Go ahead and explain this one.
I bought this from a dealer in London. I think it was a New York International show many, many years ago. And it was basically someone took these coins. What was the king's name?
King William the Fourth.
Yeah, read what it says on there.
Ivory whist counter box with screw top, initials EA inscribed in center, 33 millimeters, containing 4 silver whist counters, each one made out of an uncirculated William IV sixpence. Attractive and rare set.
I've never seen anything quite like it, actually, but these things were made out of like gem uncirculated coins, and whoever did them did a masterful job, and it looks like they were really never used. It looks like they were maybe put in this box right after they were minted. I don't think anybody ever played with them.
So there's one that has 1 diamond, 2 diamonds, 3 diamonds, and 4 diamonds used for counting.
Keeping score in the game Whist.
Yep.
It could be even other card games.
Yep.
You could add 1 and a 4 to make 5. You could do it kind of many different ways.
Yep. And it all just goes into a nice little box. That's very interesting. Very interesting. All right. Let's keep going. We have here a beautiful Bavarian Thaler from Germany. And what can you tell us about this piece here?
Well, I don't know much about it, to tell you the truth, other than it's exquisitely done. And I had this in an exhibit, things that were not for sale, maybe 10 years ago. And one of the most knowledgeable guys I know from Europe saw this in my case, and I was watching, he had a big smile and twinkle in his eye, and he pointed to it. He said, I thought I've seen almost everything. He said, I've never seen this before. And he wanted to know about it. He wanted to buy it. I said, I don't know that much about it other than it's an extraordinary piece. And this was made, when I bought it, I didn't understand quite how it was made, other than I knew it was magnificent. But at a later point, I discovered what the artist had to do to make this. And I'd like to wait for another piece to kind of go on that has a relationship, a lot to do with that particular piece, as far as the way it was made.
Okay, is that this piece right over here?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, this, where's the coin itself?
It's right here, underneath.
Okay. Excuse me. This piece is absolutely one of my favorite pieces in my whole collection. It came to me in this little box, which I think has nothing to do with the coin. But the reason I'm saying this is that this walked up to me at, I think, a fun show. It was in this box. A little old man, a little old lady from New Jersey had it. And he told me that he had inherited this from his older brother, who lived in New Jersey. I think it was Hackensack. And he found it in the top drawer, dresser drawer of his older brother's in his house. And he brought it to the show to try to sell it, and he had no idea what it was worth. And the first dealer he showed it to offered him $200, and he just thought he'd get another price. Well, the dealer next to him heard, he said, I'll give you $400. And I don't know, it got up to $700, $800. And then somebody told him to bring it over to me, because it really belonged to my collection. And so he brought it over. And it was another situation where this guy thinks, well, I'm the biggest sucker in the world, and I can be. But he wanted, like $5,000 for it, which, again, I thought was an absolutely ridiculous price. And I offered him, I don't know, $1,500 or so, and we ended up, it was about $2,500, which is an extraordinary price to pay for a piece like this. But it was of incredible quality. I really wanted it, and so I parted with my money. I don't regret it. And I owned it for many years, and I didn't really realize that this was a signed piece, signed by the artist. That almost never happens in this kind of collectible, to have the artist sign the piece. And it's, the man's name was Gilpin, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And you can see the engraving right down on the base here. Like I say, I only realized that a few years ago, so I started checking him out. And actually a friend of mine discovered that this guy that made this, that signed this piece, was from Germany. And he was a deaf mute. And he lived on a farm with his family, and his parents figured that, well, he'll just inherit the farm someday because he won't be able to do anything else. Well, at a fairly young age, he had an aunt that realized this guy had incredible talents for doing drawings and sculpting in clay. And she paid for him to go to school to be a silversmith. And he really liked this because he could really focus on something. He was a deaf mute. He was probably shunned in society. So after that, she sent him to goldsmithing school. Jewelry making. This guy, he was a young teenager, and he was making fabulous pieces like nobody had ever made before. And when he was about, 17 or 18, there was some jeweler in Paris, talked him in to come in and work for him. Well, this guy, he got famous in Paris, France, for making this extraordinary stuff. And the guy by the name of Tiffany in New York heard about him, talked him into coming to New York and working for him. And he was, at the time, one of the highest paid artist that worked for Tiffany. And he also became, he hung out with the rich and famous people in New York City. He got in that circle of people. And there's articles about him written in the New York papers at the time. Well, somehow he was accused of slanderizing one of the richest guys in New York City. And this guy filed suit and went to court. And the judge heard all the evidence. And he threw the case out of court because he said, he was accused of slander. And the judge says, well, this man can't talk. He could have never said anything about this man. So he threw it out of court because he couldn't speak. So he couldn't have slandered the guy. He did lip read, he did write things, but it's a very interesting story on that. But the unique thing about this is we showed the pop-up repousses. I originally thought that what this is, but several years ago I ran into one of these people that they carve hobo nickels, things of that nature, and they looked at it and they said, this piece it's not a struck piece from a die, but they heated this Morgan dollar up, they pushed the metal out from behind, and this was sculpted down like you would sculpt clay. And this piece, I think, was maybe made by the same guy. This is from Germany, and it's similar style work. And I've never seen other pieces like this. It's the only two I've ever seen of this type of workmanship.
Wow, very nice, very nice. Is the German piece by chance signed, or?
I don't think it is. I can't find his signature on it. It was made as kind of a love token because you see it's actually written in German and in English, I think, or a combination of the two.
Oh, very interesting. Let's take one more look at these, and then we're going to have to take another break here. It's got a real nice patina on the dollar, too.
Yeah, it's never been cleaned.
Do you think it would have been made specifically for J.P.
know.
Morgan?
He was one of the most famous men in the world in 1902. It could have been made for him, custom by Tiffany. Very well could be. But it was in that dresser drawer, and I bought it from his younger brother. That's basically all I know about it. It makes sense, though. It came from New Jersey, and the guy lived in New Jersey and went to work for Tiffany every day, went over by train, according to his brother. So that's probably exactly what happened, or similar, very close to it. I basically told you everything I know about it.
Wow.
These pieces are extraordinary pieces.
Very interesting, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us. We're going to go ahead and take another break now. If you like what you're hearing, please like and subscribe. Thank you.